Thank you, Speaker. We're just getting a real sense about how this next campaign is going to go. And if you think that's going to put us off, you've got another thing coming. Because we'll be ready. We will be ready for you, my friend.
America. Your struggle, we take as our struggle.
For those waiting with bated breath for that favorite media catchphrase, the U-turn, I have only one thing to say. U-turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
Question, the member for Thornhill.
Thank you, Speaker. And my question is for the Premier. Its official Speaker, Canada's worst government has Canada's worst Premier. In a peer-reviewed study, Premier McGunity ranks dead last among the country's premiers. It could have been because he says leadership means shining a light on transparency, but this Premier refuses to name names of who is getting rich off sweetheart consulting deals. It could be because he has backtracked so often, Ontario families have no idea what he stands for any longer. But the truth is that it is because he is the worst at managing government spending, taxes, debt and deficits. Speaker, when will the Premier stop dragging Ontario families down?
Premier.
Speaker, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade.
Thank you. I am delighted to address this question. It is imperative that people in this House understand why Ontario, ahead of all jurisdiction in North America, is dragging the most foreign direct investment here to Ontario. If what this member says is true, it can't possibly be true. For 2 years in a row, Speaker, Ontario has led every jurisdiction in North America with more FDI related to job creation to Ontario, ahead of Texas, ahead of California, ahead of New York. That is the new Ontario, and that is what we fight for in this House, and we wish we had the opposition behind us, but we don't. They oppose every initiative for business or economic development that we have brought to this House, and we will continue to fight for small business, and I expect that member in particular to be on our side.
Order. Start the clock. Members will come to order. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. And notwithstanding what the grand dame of the theatre has to say,
I just asked the honourable member, no, leave the clock right. I just asked the honourable member that, once again, I want to remind everyone that the importance of speaking through the chair, and I say that to both sides because it does take away from some of the confrontation that comes out in here. But we can't start delivering personal attacks at one another, and I did not feel that that was an appropriate comment, and I'm going to ask you to withdraw the comment, please.
It was a compliment, but I withdraw it. The authors of the study say that since being elected in 2003, Premier McGunity, and I quote, has been nothing short of a disaster at managing Ontario's finances and pursuing sound long-term economic policies. The taxes on fuel and home energy Ontario families now pay under this Premier have driven the Consumer Price Index up a full point higher than the national average. He said the HST would make business more competitive, but GDP data shows Ontario's economy shrunk last month. He said the HST would create 600,000 jobs, but we're up 23,000. How did every other Premier manage to avoid the messy legacy this Premier is leaving?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you. Let me say again to this member opposite, and I believe that this member wants what's best for Ontario, and he wants people to have jobs, and he wants to see businesses investing in Ontario. So let me just use automotive by way of example. Why in the last 6 months alone have our 5 OEMs, Ford, GM, Chrysler, Ford, Honda, Toyota, why have we seen a total investment of over $2 billion in the automotive sector just in the last 6 months, my friend. And that is very important because it means 300 automotive supply companies who are looking at increased volumes, who are looking at getting back into business. We know that the last 2 years were tough on Ontario, tougher than any other province. But I will tell you this, every other province is watching today the kinds of investment in automotive, in green energy, in ICT, in financial services, the likes of which the rest of the country is not seeing, but we are seeing it here in Ontario because we have had good, sound economic policy, good, sound tax.
Thank you. Thank you.